What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, aka Benny P, with another Minecraft tutorial. And today, we are going to be looking at this beautiful farm right behind us. This is a automatic creeper farm, gunpowder farm, and you will be getting all of this gunpowder. They've done 3 tests here. And you get at least 11 stacks every time, sometimes up to 12 or 13, so 14 actually here and a little more, so possibilities of getting up to like 15 stacks probably, but you're at least going to get 11 stacks per hour. And this is a great farm. It's pretty big, guys. There's going to be a lot of resources involved with this farm. But if you need the gunpowder, this is going to be a good way to go. So let's jump into the features of this here farm. First off, let me go ahead and give myself night vision so you guys will be able to see a little easier. And let me grab my glass block here, and I will go up into this farm so you can see exactly what it looks like inside. If I can get in here. To start off, we have this little drop chute, and it drops straight down into our trident killer, and you can see these creepers are going to fall straight down and die in our trident killer. And that is the basic part of that. And then what we have is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of these little columns, I would call them. So basically what they are is there are cats in minecarts with rails underneath them, and then a wall to separate out each of these little sections, and then buttons down the middle to keep spiders from spawning, and then of course your trapdoors to get only creepers spawning on top. I would make sure that these are oak trapdoors just in case. And basically what happens is as soon as a creeper spawns in here, they run to the center and they fall in this hole. And I can show you how that happens right now with a spawn egg. If I spawn in a creeper here, eventually he'll want to move. Let's see. Maybe he's in a weird spot. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, so he's going to get scared by these cats, and he's going to run right over the edge here, all the way to the center, and fall down. And you can see that that works here too. It takes them a minute to realize the cat, but once they do, they'll see him, they'll get scared, and they'll run to the center. Sometimes they'll do this little back and forth thing, but eventually they will all run to the center. And this happens pretty quickly, and that's what allows this to be pretty fast. So of course he's not wanting it now, but there he comes. Yep. Come on, buddy. Yeah, they get scared, and then eventually they'll run to the center and fall down in the middle. So that's basically how this farm works. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on each side. So that's, if my math's right, 16 little sections on each row. So whatever 16 times 6, that's how many sections you have to allow these creepers to spawn. And it's a pretty simple it's a pretty simple farm, as you can see. There's not a whole lot to this, guys. The only thing is this is going to be pretty time consuming and kind of resource intensive. So before you start this, make sure you have the resources you need and the time you need to put in to make this farm work. But if you need a lot of gunpowder, this is definitely a good option. So I think the only other thing to talk about is what's at the top, and then maybe a little bit about our trident killer. So let's go look at the top real quick. So basically all this is a giant cube, but on top you want to make sure that you have sufficient lighting up here, because if you don't, then you get a bunch of mobs spawning up here. You could also just torch spam or half slab the top, or even just put carpet up here. Whatever you need to do to make this not spawnable, because you want to make sure no ads spawn up here. So that's a big part of this farm. Make sure the top of your farm is not spawnable. Same thing with your little AFK platform down here. Make sure this isn't spawnable. So I added some lighting blocks in here to make sure that no ads will spawn in here. A couple other things. So we have our hoppers going into our chest with a hopper minecart in the middle. And then we have this little setup for our trident killer. And we have one waterlogged piston. That way we have water at the bottom because the drop is actually 22 blocks down. So if they land on one of these piston heads, they're fine. They won't die, but if they land at the bottom, they will die. So we need this piece of water to break their fall, like you just saw there. That way they don't immediately die, because you won't be getting your looting effect if they immediately die. That's another important thing about this farm, is you want to make sure you have a looting 3 sword to get the rates that I'm talking about here. Without looting 3, you're probably going to get maybe a quarter of that. So yeah, looting 3 is important for this farm. That's the whole reason we're doing the trident part. The trident killer is to get the looting 3 effect when these creepers die. So I think that's basically it. Now all we need to do is build this farm. So let's get into that right now. All right, before we move to the building portion of this video, I want to ask you guys, please leave a comment, leave a like down below, hit that like button, and then thank you guys so much for supporting me. We've been doing crazy on subs lately, so if you're not subbed, go ahead and hit that sub button, hit the bell so you don't miss any videos from me, aka Benny P. And thank you guys so much for watching and supporting. Now, let's build this farm. Alright, we're going to build ours right here. And to start off, just go straight up from the ocean floor with some kind of block to give yourself a little platform at the bottom. Then what you need to do is figure out where the center of this chunk is. So the best way to do that is, of course, have a chunk pack. If you're looking for a chunk pack, just search for chunk visualizer in Google. If you're on Bedrock, and you should be able to find that pretty easily and install it on your own. If you don't have a chunk pack, then you can use something like chunk base or some other technique to figure out where exactly your chunk is. So now that we have some blocks up here to build with, we can get rid of this whole column, and we want to go from the corner over there. So basically go from this corner right here of this chunk, and we're going to go out 7 blocks. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then our 8th block is going to start our corner. So that's our our center. So these 4 right here are the center of our chunk. We can get rid of all of these blocks. We don't need those anymore. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go pick one of these corners, doesn't matter which, just remember which one you picked. And then you're going to go up by 100 blocks from this point. So we want to be at least 163 above the sea level here. So if we just go straight up, it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be exactly 163, just at least 100 blocks above. So let's make sure we get up to at least 100 blocks above. And one more, and we'll just go a couple more above that. Let's go to 70. So now we're at 170. Now, if you want to, you can get rid of all these blocks. We don't need them anymore. And then, of course, remember where your which corner you picked, because you need to add in the other 2 corners. And then I would say also grab your lighting block here and use a lighting block for this center marker here. That way you will know where your center is, and you'll have some lighting for your platform here. So go ahead and put 1 there and 2 here, and then we can replace this one with a lighting block. Now we know this is our exact center of our chunk, so that's a good start. So now what we need to do is we need to grab our blocks here again and just go around in a circle until we get to 4 away from those center blocks. So just do like I do on screen. Alright, now you should have something that looks like this with 4 blocks on each side of that 4 block center. Now what you're going to want to do is grab yourself your lighting block again and just put lights in these corners just to make sure that no mobs are going to spawn here. And if you want to be extra safe, I also like to put blocks here and lighting blocks here And this is just to ensure that no mobs will spawn here while we're AFKing and or working on this farm. So now we can bring back our slab here. Don't need our lighting block anymore right now. So now what I would say to do is just put 2 blocks right here, and then you're going to start your hoppers straight into this. So put 2 hoppers going straight into this, and then 2 hoppers going straight into those hoppers. Should have something that looks like this. Now you can grab your chest. We don't need these hoppers anymore. You can grab your chest and you can place it just like so. Now what I would do is I would place my minecart. So you're going to grab your minecart. I would just give it a tiny nudge to kind of get it in the center of those 2. It's still not really in the center. You can play around with it a little bit until you get it where you like it. Kind of like it in the center of those 2 hoppers. Now what you want to do is you just want to encase that part. So you can put a temporary block there, and you can encase around here so nothing runs into your minecart. And you don't ever run into your minecart because you don't want to move that around. So now what you need to do is just put 4 blocks right on top of that. You can break these temporary blocks and you should have something that looks just like this. Now in each of these corners, just put a, sorry, we need to come out one more in the front here with blocks like this. You can leave an air gap right there. It's totally fine. Or if you like this to be closed in, you can put 2 pieces of glass right here above this chest and you'll still be able to open the chest. Or if you don't want to see any of this, you can put stairs here and then you'll still be able to open your chest. So what we need to do now is we're going to put 4 of these power rails all the way around the edge like this. And then what we need to do is grab some solid blocks and we're going to place blocks in these specific areas. So you're just going to go around like this, and you should have something that looks like a cool little diamond shaped thing, like a star thing. So all we did was we put a block here, a block here, block here, and a block here. And that looks perfectly good. Now all we need to do is we need to drop in our observers. So you want your observers facing just like this, where the little face part is pointing towards the power rails, and just do that all the way around. Once you do that, you should see that you will get something like this, and these should be flashing, and that way you know it looks good. Now let's grab our lever. We're going to turn this off for now. So if we flip this, it turns off the system and powers this one block so the circuit doesn't keep going. Now we can drop in our pistons. So our pistons should be just like this in this format. On these solid blocks we placed with the observers going into them, we want to put our pistons. And now if we flick this, you should see that we are going around in a circle just like so, and that looks great. Now I would take your half slab, and wherever your front is, so this is our front, this is where our chest is, put your half slab right here so you can get the experience from this. And any drops that get trapped in here will come to you in case they don't go straight down. I've noticed that maybe 2 or 3 per hour get stuck, and they'll just come right to you when you're AFKing here instead of going into the chest, which isn't a big deal. Then what you want to do is I would just encase all of this with solid blocks. So you're just going to go all the way around like this with solid blocks. And then now you should have something that looks like this. And if you want to, you can go ahead and throw your trident in here, but first you're going to need a way to get up there. So what I do is I just grab some stairs and I place one stair, I place one stair on this observer block. One stair lower than that. So temporary stair there, and then put a stair here and a stair there. You can get rid of this one if you want. Now we could run straight up here and we can see the creepers falling, the creepers dying in here, and we could throw our trident right in here, just like so. Alright, so now you should have a working trident killer, just like that. But there's one more thing we want to do here. So we're going to place one solid block behind this piston. It doesn't have to be this exact piston, you can pick whichever one you like. But I'm going to pick this piston. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our water bucket and we are going to waterlog that piston. And that's going to cause water to go all the way through this. And like I said, we need this to break the fall of the creepers, so that way they don't automatically die, so they get killed by the Trident Killer and we get our looting. So that is why we do that. Now if we flick it on, you should have something that looks like this, and that looks perfectly awesome. So that is our Trident Killer all done, guys. So all we need to do now is build straight up and build our spawning area. Alright, now is when you want to grab your glass blocks. So you want to go up 21 blocks from right here. So we're at 74, so we should be at math. We should be at 95. So if we go up to 94, 95, right there is how high our chute should be with glass. So it should be just like this, all the way up to 95, and we can do that on every single part of this farm. So 21 blocks is kind of approximate. You could go higher than that with your chute. It shouldn't affect anything. But you don't want to go lower than this, because when you're standing at your AFK spot, your first spawn platform should be at least 25 blocks away from this spot. So we're at 127, so you would have to make sure that you are at least 25 blocks from that exact spot. Actually, sorry, I said that wrong. You're at 172, so now you want to make sure you're at least 25 blocks from that. So 21 blocks is probably good here. And then we're going to start building out our little sideways piece. And it doesn't really matter which direction you build this from. You can kind of make your own decision. I think that way we built it like left or right. So let's actually do it the other way this time, and it may make it a little easier for you guys. So instead of building it that way, we're going to build it straight towards the like this. So go to the front of where your Trident Killer is and build one block here, and then you're just going to come straight out this way to 8 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then that's perfect. Now you want to go up by 1 right here, and you want to come 7 blocks this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just like so. And that's looking pretty good. Now come up 1 more block here, and we can get rid of those blocks, and then we can come all the way to the center with sides onto this, just like so. And then we can come down here, and we can get rid of that block if we want, and boom, just like that. That looks good. Now we can add our glass in on these sides if we want. It doesn't have to be solid blocks, but I normally use solid blocks all the way around on this row. So you can go ahead and place solid blocks in all of these spots. And then we need to do our side on this side, just like so. And then come here to the bottom. And you should have something that looks just like this. Now what you need to do is drop in 2 water sources just like so. That should run all the way to the center and stop right at the edge, and that's exactly what we want. So now all we have to do is duplicate that exact thing on the other side. So again, come out 8 blocks, just like so, and then 8 blocks again. Now we're going to go up by 1 and get rid of those, and now we can go 7 blocks this way, 6, 7, that should be 7. And then 7 blocks this way, just like this. And now you're going to want to come put your sides onto these. You can do it like this if you want. Straight out, put sides everywhere. That way our water doesn't flow out of the side of this farm. And then just like so. And this looks pretty good. So that piece is pretty much all done now. Now what you need to do is you need to start building your actual platforms where the guys will spawn and fall into the center. So first thing I would do is put 2 blocks here and 2 blocks there, and that's going to be your first gap. And then what you want to do is you want to come pick whichever side to start on, doesn't matter. you're going to come this way and you're going to come out by, let's say, I don't remember how many blocks I did on the other one. But we'll go check that in a second, but just come out this way and you're going to count over by, so you want a 7 by 7 platform here. So this should be 4, that's 5, and then this should be 7. So, sorry, we need one more row for 7. And you should have something that looks like that with one strip in the middle. And then you're going to have another block gap right here. And then do that same thing here with 7 blocks all the way across. So it looks like on our farm over there we went 15 out. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and this will be 15 right here. So just do that on each one of your platforms. Should be 7 by 15, 15 in this direction, 7 across, and then you should end up with something like that for your first 2 spawns. So there'll be 4 on this side and 4 on that side. Like we said before, that'll add up to 8 for each row. All right, so now we can do the same thing on this side and start here, come all the way out 15 like that, and then do that 7 times for this next spawn platform. All right, now we have one more to put in. Again, notice there's a 1 gap here, a 1 block gap here, and a 2 block gap in the middle, and then we should have one more 1 block gap here. And just repeat the process, 15 by 7 right here. All right, now you should have something that looks just like this. Now all we're gonna do is duplicate this on the other side. All right, now you should have something that looks just like this. As you can see, all we did was duplicate those spawning platforms on the other side. We went ahead and capped off this, made this one higher to make it flush. You can see you're gonna get pillager raids and all kind of stuff up here. So yeah, again, I would probably suggest to light this up while you're doing this and then remove the lighting sources later. But for now, that looks pretty good. Now what we can do is we can, first off, what I want to do is I want to double check that this is exactly at least 25 blocks above our other spawn platform. So this is 199, and down here we are at, where we're going to be standing is 172. So let me do some quick calculations here. Yes, 27 blocks, that's perfect. So we're at least 25 blocks away, so we know that stuff is going to spawn on these platforms when we're down there AFKing. So that is perfect. Build it exactly like I built it here, and you should be good to go. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is separators. So we're going to build some separators in just like I do here. On each one of these spacers, there should be a 2-high wall like this on each of the spacers. So here you're going to need a 2 by 2 high like here, like this. I'm doing on screen. And just go all the way around and put in all of your separators like I do here. And then you should be good to go. So now you should have something that looks like this with your spacers coming up too high, and these being single spacers, these being double spacers, and you should look something exactly like that. Now what I would suggest is just come around and do a border wall all the way around this farm, all the way around. All right, now you're gonna wanna go 1 higher with that border wall. All right, now you should have something that looks like this with borders all the way around, and then these spacers in between each of these little sections. Now what you need to do is you need to go pick either side, doesn't matter, and then go in the middle of these. So we should have 7 blocks here. So in the middle block, you're going to put spacers like this. So 1 here, and then go 3 blocks, and then put your next spacer with 1 in the center, and then go 3 blocks and put your last one just like so. And that's also a good way to make sure that these are long enough. You should have exactly 3 blocks in between each of these 3 block spacers, and it should look something like that. Now you can go ahead and fill in each of these areas like this, and then go ahead and come with a block on top of that, and you should have something that looks like that with 3 little holes. Now is the time when you want to get your cats. So a couple things I would suggest for getting these cats. Maybe the easiest way is to get yourself a little village up here with beds and villagers to make a cat farm up here, because it's easier to transfer like 2 villagers instead of transferring like a tons of cats, I think. Or you could transfer 2 cats up here and you could breed them up to make all of the cats you need. So that's what I would suggest for getting them up here. Of course, you're gonna need some kind of rail line or portal or something to get them here, but I'll leave that up to you guys. So now what you're going to do is place down a rail right there. Now, if you're building this in the other direction, you'll notice that you can't put rails that way. So what you'll need to do is you would have to break out one of these and then place 2 rails, and then break that one once you get it in the right direction and place it again. So what I'm talking about is, like, if your spacers were like this and you put a rail here, you don't want it going in that direction. You want to make sure it's going into these blocks. So break that block, put 1 there, and then put your spacer back. But because of the direction that we're building it, we don't have to worry about that, so we can just place in all of our little rails just like this. Now we can place in our mine carts and then our cats. So we just place down a cat and we push them in there. Of course, you guys will have to transfer them in there. You maybe can use this rail line, make a rail line that goes all the way down, and then put them in there 1 by 1, and it should look something like that. Now we're just going to duplicate the same thing on the other side. So 1 spacer here, 3 blocks, 1 spacer here, 3 blocks, and then a little spacer there, and then we can fill in these open blocks like so, and then come 1 over like this. Super easy, guys, very easy to do. And then now what we're going to do is drop in our rails at each spot. Then we can drop in our mine carts and our cats, just like so. And that will be good right there. So now we're going to continue this process on each of these little sections. Right in the middle row, you're going to add your line with cats in it. So let's go ahead and do that. One other quick note here, it doesn't matter if they're baby cats, they'll work just as good as adult cats, so don't worry if you have baby cats. It will be totally fine, and you shouldn't have any issue with them scaring the creepers. They should still scare them. Alright, all our cats are in place. You can see that we have our little cat separators here in each of our little sections, and that's what you should have, is 3 cats on each side like that. And it should look something like this, and that is perfect. So now what I would do is I would grab our buttons, and what we're going to want to do is we're going to come straight down the middle of each of these strips with buttons straight like this, and don't put your button there, and then you can cap that off like that, and then do this on every little section that you have, straight down with your buttons, and then add your buttons on each of these, and you can do that in every little one of these. Make sure you don't miss one, because then you'll get spiders spawning in your system, and that's not what you want. So again, every single one of these, just make sure that you have your buttons just like so, and then placing them in like that. Alright, now you should have something that looks like this. You should have buttons down the center of each of these rows with 3 buttons at the end like this, just to help the creepers want to run off of this. Now what you need to do is you need to put the ceiling on this. So this is only 1 level, and we're not completely done yet because we need to put in our trapdoors, but in order to do that, we need to start adding on the next level. So While we're doing this, let me talk about levels. So right now on the other farm we had about 6 levels, and that's what got us the rates that we had there. So I would suggest doing 6 levels. You could do 3 and you'll probably get about half of what we get over there. So that would be about 5 or 6 stacks an hour, which is still pretty good. But if you want the full like power of this farm, you probably want to put in at least 6. Now you guys can try putting in more rows than that, and you maybe get more creepers and more gunpowder. So if you guys want to put in more than just 6, go ahead and do so. But like I said, these are actually pretty time consuming to install. So it's going to take you some time for each row, and then yeah, you may want to build up. You can even build these like in stages, like build 3 and then wait a little while, and then once you fill up to it again, build another 3. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you guys how many layers you want to build, but my farm over there is based on 6 layers. So the rates that I was seeing is based on 6 layers. So that's just a little note about the layers and how many you may want to build or may not want to build. It's totally up to you guys. Do it however you like. But again, I use 6 layers over there. Alright, that's what it should look like on one side. You should see that it comes all the way to the edge of the separators. And then you just want to complete that same thing on the other side for the other side of your roof / floor for the next level. Alright, now once you have all this laid in, you can leave this top part here for now, it's fine. Now what you need to do is come back into these bottom sections, and you actually want to go ahead and grab your oak trapdoors. So take your oak trapdoors, and all you're going to do is all the way on every single space in every single little section, you're going to put oak trapdoors on the ceiling. And what this does is this only makes creepers spawn in here. And that's exactly what we want. We don't want any other mobs spawning in this area. So what we need to do is this right here, and just every single block, all the way to the edge of this little section, we're going to put trapdoors just like that. Every single block, all the way to the end of the section. And then you're just going to do this on every single one of these sections. And again, this is probably the most time consuming part. What you're going to need to do is just power down, maybe watch a show or watch Netflix or something while you do this, because this is going to be very tedious and time consuming. So just figure out something cool for you to do. Maybe listen to a podcast or an audiobook while you do this, because this is kind of like mindless work here, just adding in all of these trapdoors. But again, add these on every single one of your rows, and then, these columns here, and every single one, add in all your trapdoors. Alright, now we have all of our trapdoors put in all of our sections. You should see that right there. Let me set this back today and get rid of this rain real quick. So now we want to talk about how to set up your next layer. So we've done the first layer, we've done the kind of collection system to the middle. The only thing I would say here is if you want to add a couple buttons here, that's totally fine. May help them fall off a little quicker. But other than that, this looks pretty good. So now what we need to do is we need to start setting up our next layer. So what I would do first is go to your where you put your we're gonna have to grab some solid blocks first, and then we're gonna go to where we put our first spacers in. So let's start in the middle, and we're gonna do just like this, all the way down, just like so. And you can go ahead and make this too high, like so. And there's our first spacer in the middle. Now what you want to do is again count 7 out this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our next spacer should go right here. Yep, that's correct. So we're just going to put our spacer in here, just like so. And then that's our one spacer for this side, and then we need one more on this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then our spacer should go right here. So let's put that one in. Yep, that's the correct spot. And boom. There's our spacers for this side. Now we want to do the exact same thing on the other side. Alright, now that we have all 6 of our spacers in, 3 on each side, now I would say just go ahead and make the border all the way around. So I would just start by going in between all my spacers and then going all the way around the circle with the 2-high border. Alright, now you should have something that looks like this with a border all the way around, and you got your spacers in between just like we did on the bottom level. Now what you need to do is again put in your cat spacers. So again, you're just going to run all, you're going to do 1 space with 3 there, and then go 3 more blocks and then 1 here, and then 3 more blocks and 1 here, just like that, and then close off the top of that. And again, we're just going to do that for each one of these sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, and 4 on this side should be 8 times. And do exactly like I did here. Again, I'll show you one more time, and then I'll just do the rest off camera. So 1, 2, so there's 3 spots right there, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1 space 1, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 space 1, and then now we can just come over the top of this, and there's where our 2 cats will go. And then of course you're going to put in your rails here like so, then your mine carts, then your cats, and that is pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and build the rest of this off camera, and I'll check back with you guys when I get it done. Alright, now that all of your cats are installed, now the next step is to come back and do the buttons. So grab your buttons again, and you're going to do the same thing we did on the lower level. You're just going to come straight down, not like that, not like that, get rid of those. Straight down the middle like this, and then put 3 at the end. And you're just going to do this down every single side. Alright, now you should have all your buttons in place. Now the last step is to put your ceiling on, and then put in your trapdoors. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a full ceiling on this. I'm only going to build 2 levels for now, because if I built all 6 levels it would take a long time, because I've already did it over there. I know it takes a while. So just for demonstration to you guys, so I can show you guys how to build the top of this farm as well, I'm going to go ahead and fill in all the blocks at the top, and then I'll come back and also I'll fill in all of the trapdoors, and then we'll come back and add lighting sources on the top to show you guys how to make sure that no spawns can happen on top of this farm. So we're going to go ahead and close this off with 2 layers. Again, I would suggest you guys do 6 layers. If you want the rates that you saw in the beginning of the video, 6 is the way to go. But again, you can choose however many layers of these you want to build. It's totally up to you, but it will affect the rates depending on how many layers you build. So just keep that in mind when you guys are doing this, but I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of this. Alright, we got the roof put on, and we got all of our trapdoors installed on this level, just like we did on this level down here. And that is perfectly awesome. Now all we need to do is pop up here, and you can see we have tons of ads up here. So what we want to do is clear these guys out, and then put lighting blocks in to make sure that these guys don't spawn here anymore, because that will affect your rates. So go ahead and kill all these dudes if you see dudes up here. If you want to put in your lighting first before you do the trapdoors down there, that might be a good idea. That way you don't get a bunch of guys spawning up here. But either way is fine. We're just going to clear them out real quick, and then we should be good to build our lighting. So now what we want to do is come from the corner of this chunk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll just build in our square right here. We can delete those all the way down to here, and then put 1 in each corner just like so. And then I like to come back and put 1 on each side like this. And that's looking pretty good. That should give us a good bit of light already. Now just cross over and put in squares where all these corners are, and in the middle there. So square here, and then a square here on this corner. Just like so. This should definitely give you enough lighting to be safe up here. And then we're going to go out from this a little more just to make sure that nothing can spawn in this area. So now you should have something that looks like that. Let me go ahead and fill in my block that I left here open. So now what I want to do is I'm just going to take, I'm just going to extend this out this way. So you should see something like this. And then we'll put one in this corner and then two here. And we're just going to continue this pattern all the way around, matching up with where we put our lighting sources before. And let's see, almost. And then let's see what that gives us once we get this done. All right, that should give us something that looks like this, but I think we need a few blocks here as well. So what I like to do is go 4 in from that side, and then 4 in from this side, and then 4 in from that side. And that will give you 1 block in the center right there. And then we can do something similar on this row here. And these don't have to be perfect, but somewhere in the center of that, and then 4 here, and then there. And then somewhere in the center of these, and somewhere in the center of these. And this is just going to double, triple check that. Make sure that we have enough lighting here where mobs will not spawn, and we won't have to worry about them affecting our rates and just hanging out up here. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to call that done and dusted. So if you want to, you can take a screenshot of what I did, or you can do it however you like. Just make sure that there are no spawn spots if they're available. Alright, the other thing I did is I came down here and I added some lamps on top of these blocks, just to make sure that they're not spawnable. You probably don't have to want to put one in the back here. But anyways, that is pretty much it, guys. That is your farm totally done. If you like this video and you want to support me, please leave a like down below. Leave a comment. Let me know how I did. And then also, please hit that subscribe button and the bell. That way you never miss a video from me, aka Benny P. And thank you guys so much for hanging out today. And I hope this farm helps you get all the gunpowder you need. And I will catch you guys in the next one.